Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, tonight, guess what? We're stepping into the fire, a fire fueled by fame, filtered through power, and fanned by a public craving for both accountability and entertainment. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, and here we don't wear robes, we wear receipts. We don't ask for silence, we demand scrutiny. But in today's world, where the court of public opinion moves faster than any legal system, what is true is often judged by what's trending. We've got 6 cases tonight, each more complicated, more controversial, and more reflective of the times we live in. We're going to talk about the R charges, social media misconduct, survivor silence, and the price of protecting problematic power. And through it all, we will ask this: what happens when the very people we idolize become the same people the law must investigate? Joining us in this conversation tonight, I have 4 of our legal beagles. First up, we have author of Shit They Never Taught You in Law School, Jason Weiss. Counselor Weiss, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Thank you, Your Honor. Very excited to be here. And go Gators, Final Four championship.
All right, joining him, I don't know what's going on here with my camera. Joining him, we have Entertainment Esquire, Ashley. Ashley, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Hi, everybody. Don't forget to use your discount, Celebrity Court. If you email info@askcarterlaw.com, I'll put it in the box. You get $500 off your trademark or your LC filing. So take advantage of that.
Okay. So you're
giving discount. You can thank your judge for that discount.
Always. So let us know. So if any of our viewers are interested in trademarking anything, they can reach out
to you. Their LC, they can email info@askcarterlaw.com. I'll put it in the box. The word celebrity. They have to say Celebrity Court for my office to know to give them the discount. So.
All right. So maybe we can have the bailiff run a little banner across the bottom tonight about that special. And they get what off, Ashley? How much off?
$500 off.
Oh, and it costs more than that?
Yes, it does. These are legal services, not, you're not getting your hair done. Okay.
All right. And joining these 2 attorneys, we have that fiery civil attorney, Shatan Turner. Shatan Turner, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
It's good to be back. It's my 1-year anniversary of being free, so I'm ready to go tonight.
Oh, wait a minute. It's final?
No, but it's final that he got kicked to the curb.
Oh, so this is the one year anniversary that you kicked him to the curb.
Yes. And I have a special thank you, Algorator. So Al Reynolds gave me this opportunity because I was like, couldn't figure out what to do with my life. And it has been an amazing blessing to me. So thank you, Al Reynolds, the gift I didn't know I needed.
Absolutely. You've been nothing but an asset to this show, and we love having you. Last but definitely not least, that humorist at law, Sean Carter, come on in here in Celebrity Court.
Hey, everybody. You want to send me money too? You can. You're not getting nothing off of it. I'm not doing an LLC for you either. So go ahead and send me some money. I give you $500 off what you would have given me.
Look who we have. Is it Christmas?
Oh my God. Who's that?
Brian Ross. Well, the Ohio State. Brian Ross, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
I heard so much love between Shatan and the judge that I couldn't miss out on the opportunity to come be part of the love session.
All right, everybody. Court is now in session. First up, comedian, actor, provocateur Russell Brand is no stranger to controversy, but now he faces his biggest battle yet. The UK's Metropolitan Police has formally charged him with 5 counts involving 4 different women. He's got a count of the R word, the oral R word, indecent assault, and sexual assault. I can't wait for the lawyers to break this down because I need to know what oral R is and also what is indecent assault. These are not Twitter accusations or rumors in a tabloid. These are actual criminal charges. And while the alleged incidents span from 1999 to 2005, UK law does not impose a statute of limitation for serious sexual offenses. That means time doesn't erase trauma, and it certainly doesn't erase legal accountability. Brand has denied all charges and called this a coordinated attack. But here's what we must ask. Can a man whose entire public persona, which was built on sexual shock value, get a fair trial? Or has the line between performance and predator behavior already been crossed? All right, let's go to both Jason and Brian on
Firstly,
this.
thank you for these incredible and overwhelming messages of support. We're very fortunate in a way to live in a time where there's so little trust in the British government. We're very fortunate, I suppose, that this is happening at a time where we know that the law has become a kind of weapon to be used against people, institutions, and sometimes entire nations that will not accept and tolerate levels of corruption that are unprecedented. I'm speaking particularly to those of you that are watching this in the UK. How do you feel about your legal system right now? How do you feel about some of the high-profile cases that are not being pursued and prosecuted? How do you feel that the Southport murders were handled? How do you feel about the government of Keir Starmer? Now, that's just sort of general context. Me, I've always told you guys that when I was young and single, before I had my wife and family, we're just out of shot over there, my beautiful children, I was a fool, man. I was a fool before I lived in the light of the Lord. I was a drug addict, a sex addict, and an imbecile. But what I never was a rapist. I've never engaged in non-consensual activity. I pray that you can see that by looking in my eyes. I want to thank all of you for your continuing support. I want to let you know that our show will be on Rumble on Monday. Thanks for your support there. And of course, I'm now going to have the opportunity to defend these charges in court, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. In the meantime, you lot, stay free.
Oh my God.
Now look into these eyes. There was no way I did it. Look into these eyes.
I'm sorry. He gives those vibes. So he's
giving those vibes. Attorney Weiss, tell us, break down this particular case and the charges and explain to me. I just want to make sure I understand what all R is, what is indecent assault, and what is sexual assault, and how do you do all four without not doing all four?
Well, remember, this is not all four on the same victim. There are multiple victims claiming that he did that. So it could have been oral R on one and normal R on another. And so R is usually penile penetration of a woman. That's R. So if it's not penile, then it's and you use your tongue, your mouth, that's going to be the oral. And then I don't remember what the other ones were. The
indecent assault.
I have no clue what that is. Maybe tap Mr. Ross, because that must be something that's over in the UK. We don't have that here in Florida. So I'm not 100% sure what that one is, but look, this guy personally was hanging with Diddy and professionally was hanging with Diddy. And it doesn't shock me that things are coming out because he was with Diddy. Get him to the Greek. They were both there. He was probably stoned, drunk, high, and being himself in that movie. The two of them also flew on Diddy's plane, and some of the things that Russell Brand was doing made Diddy uncomfortable. So if you can make Diddy uncomfortable, could you imagine how the rest of the world would feel? I actually think. Here we go. I mean, so one of the things that, and they're not talking about it, is Diddy says to him, "You're making me feel very uncomfortable." This was he basically saying, "Look, I was young, I was dumb, I did what I wanted, but as stoned as I was, as drunk as I was, whatever I was, it was always consensual." Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to our criminal defense attorney here. Can you explain to me once again what in his case would oral R be and what is indecent assault?
Oral R is exactly as it sounds. In the United States, it's going to be considered some form of vaginal or other type of penetration, right? Okay. In the oral R sense, it's going to be some sort of non-vaginal or non-penetration. It could be anything that involves oral, exactly as it sounds, right? In the United States, we don't really have a difference between the two. It's simply this or that. The sexual assault charge is separate. It's the touching, right? So I'm trying to be as PC as I can here, right? But on one part,
I tried.
I'm trying. It's like I might as well be in ballet class. I'm dancing so hard. I'm doing
Right, you really are. What in the world? Does it mean that he forced her to give oral sex on him when she didn't want it?
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around, Jason.
It's probably the
What
other
do
way
you mean
around.
other way around? I'm not understanding. She gave it to
gave
him.
her oral sex.
Correct.
He
So
gave it to her without her consent.
Going down on the low. Okay.
Without her
consent.
consent.
Yeah. So
Right,
without her
without her
consent.
when I was looking at the UK stuff, they went a little bit more general. Although that would count too, but they were just saying it's an indecent assault as an unwanted sexual touching of the breasts or the genitalia. So he was handsy.
But that's not the oral R.
Right. That's not the oral R. That's the indecent assault.
Indecent.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at the English law, the Sexual Offenses Act of 2003, and it says that oral R refers to non-consensual oral penetration of a person's mouth by a penis. So we're talking about making her, forcing her to put it in her mouth.
That
I don't
makes
have better way to put it.
Yeah.
And I also want to make
I don't know why, but
All about going places uninvited, right? So
Yeah.
it's either going to a vagina uninvited. It's going. Can we say that? It's going.
well, you'd have already
We
said
can now.
It's going to the back door uninvited.
any-
It's going to the
you
mouth
already said
uninvited.
it.
Yeah, it's the lack of an invitation.
Well, here's my thing. I also want to make a note because I know everyone is saying, Diddy in the chat, oh, he's the British Diddy, he's the UK Diddy. They definitely set up these criminal charges in the UK exactly how they set up the criminal charges against Diddy in the US. In fact, I think they use Diddy as their roadmap because I actually broke this case down for the Entertainment Esquire channel that I had some time ago. And there were so many, again, civil complaints. They were just civil complaints, but they weren't really going anywhere. And one of the girls dated him for a really long time. Not like Cassie, not like 10 years, but for several months. He was like in a relationship with her, but she was much younger. And she, accused him of not just sexual assault, but also like throwing her up against a wall, getting in a physical altercation with her. So definitely it's very much like Diddy in the sense that there are multiple women, multiple stories. This was kind of on the civil side first, and now it's turned into something criminal.
There was even a TV show. They made some sort of like TV show about his alleged R allegations in the United Kingdom. The air they're not led to that. What do we think
about this UK law, which I find very interesting, where it's statute free? Meaning there's no statute of limitation when it comes to sexual.
I think it's fantastic. I think that victims have lots of reasons to not come forward, right?
Right.
And that you don't want some time allotment to pass to allow the criminal to escape liability. And that's coming from a defense lawyer. Like, I've lived off statute limitations, but it is what it is. I'm glad that they have it that way because you shouldn't get away with it just because time passes. So people are scarred for life. And we really, really want to be on this show in particular. We are lighthearted, but we want everyone, we are very sensitive to these issues, and that's serious. That's serious.
Right.
One of the things he said in an interview, which I thought was, so first we saw in the video, it was the look me in the eyes defense. One of the other things that he said in an interview was like, look, I became famous so I could get ass. And I didn't need to force myself on anybody. That the fame, the only reason I was interested in the fame was so I could get all that I could have. And so that was interesting. And then the other ultimate defense, and I don't know if Diddy's going to do this, and I'm a Christian, believe me. But the I found Jesus defense, right? Because now he's saying that before I found the Lord, I was out there, I was drunk, I was an addict, a sex addict. I never sexually assaulted anybody, but I was getting all I can, slanging it to everywhere, doing it up and down and taking Tootsie Cat or whatever. But now I found Jesus and I have a family. And so that's his thing now, that like
Right.
I've been sober for nearly 23 years, and that's not who I am now. He did say something interesting, though. He did say he believed in justice because he was a Christian. And even if it happened a long time ago, he thought he should be held accountable. But he's saying, but it didn't, because I've never done anything like that.
Mark Wright says Christians are the biggest freaks.
Don't listen to Mark Wright. Mark Wright's my friend.
That's your friend?
He is.
Well, he knows you, huh?
He also
Albert
went,
says the court don't care about Jesus.
well, he
That
also
guy
went to
says, hello,
rehab.
Abby. Venetia Phillips says, ask Katy Perry about him.
Katy Perry said in an interview with Vogue in 2013,
What did she say?
first when I met him, Russell, he wanted an equal. And I think a lot of times strong men do want an equal. When they get that equal and they're like, quote, I can't handle the equalness, he just didn't like the atmosphere of me being the boss on tour. So that was really hurtful, and it was very controlling, which was upsetting, she said at the time.
All right. Abby NYC says, see, he knows that Sunday morning tramp. Tony Brooks says, so he admitted he did it. And then Lee Coyote says, anytime somebody tells you they found Jesus, it's a lie. Jesus is from inside. All right, everybody, let's keep it going. Let's shift from the courtroom charges to courtside controversies. Ja Morant, one of the most electrifying players in the NBA, has once again found himself in hot water, and this time for miming a finger gun gesture during a game. The league responded swiftly with a $75,000 fine, citing violation of conduct policies. Now, let's be clear. This isn't Ja's first offense. Remember, in 2023, he was suspended for flashing an actual firearm on social media. So now, even symbolic behavior like hand gestures is under league scrutiny. But has this become too much? And also, should past behavior always dictate further future penalties, especially when no law was broken? I do want to break this down. So I'm going to go to you, Jason, and then also, Ashley, if you want to chime in. Tell me exactly. It's a gesture. What law is he actually breaking?
So I don't think he's breaking a law. He's breaking something having to do with the morality clause in the NBA. The NBA is cracking down, just like the NFL, on anything having to do with violence. So we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago that there was no more of this by CeeDee Lamb. Well, Ja Morant, he did that with the gun. And the thing is, one of his teammates did it as well. They both got technical fouls, and Ja Morant was the one that was gone ahead, and he was fined the $75,000. So they weren't picking on just him for the suspension and for the technical. I did not get to do enough research quickly to see if the other player was also fined, but he's been warned in the past not to do it. And Attorney Carter, thank you. He shook his head saying the other player wasn't fined. So they got the technical, right? So if it was his first time, it would be a technical. Don't do it again. This is like his third or fourth time. So finally, they're going to take it out of his pocket. And yes, he was suspended, I think, twice for having a firearm on social media. Look, he's a target. He knows that this is something that he cannot do, and he keeps doing it. They're going to start finding him more and more and more, and he's going to make the NBA money. What can I tell you?
Attorney Ross, what would you be telling your client, Ja Morant, as it relates to this? Because he was seen once again recently with a gun in a car in a video.
He'd say, bring me $100,000 as a retainer, you moron.
Keep exercising your right.
Exactly.
Keep bringing me those bags. Okay, don't worry about that. Keep pointing those guns. I'll fight those fines for you, and you and I will get rich together. That's exactly what I'm going to say to him, and he's going to hug me, and I'm going to hug him, and then we're going to go drink white Hennessy that I got off the cruise last night.
Not white Hennessy.
Great.
Oh,
night.
no. Attorney Ashley, please save us here. What's going on?
You know, I think you
No,
were onto something, Al, in terms of maybe feeling like this is a little overstep of First Amendment, because you should have the right to express yourself. I feel like you were kind of feeling like it's an overreach in controlling how he expresses himself. There is an argument to say that, yes, that's exactly what they're doing. But to Jason's point, when you sign a contract with entertainment companies, sports companies, even we were talking about last week with Kenya Moore and Britt Eady with, you know, the revenge porn poster and her threatening Kenya with a gun, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can, you know, you can do whatever you want when you have not signed a contract, right? You can have this kind of more this freedom of expression with your hand gestures and what you say and what you do. But the minute you are a part of a larger brand like the NBA, like NBC Bravo, it just changes. I hate to say you almost become a slave to the organization, but at some level you do. Like, there are just certain things you can't do. And if you've already been suspended for having an actual gun, there's no way you should be doing any gestures that even look like a gun, because you are a target. They are looking to fine you. They're looking probably to suspend you again. They're looking to do these things. So when you know that you are a target, unless you're just trying to make Attorney Brian Ross, you know, some
More money for me.
unless
More
you're
money
just
for
trying
me.
to do that, you really need to accept that while I'm this public figure with this organization, they're
Being
just simply,
paid by them. I can't. There are certain things I can't
yeah,
do.
it's just simply some things I cannot do.
Sean Carter, I want to throw to you. If you were representing John Morant, what would you be calling the league and telling them?
That we be pleading insanity. My client is crazy as shit, and therefore we need to get some of this money. Now, here's the thing: I wouldn't call it a league at all. I just pay the money. Now, and the problem is this: that he makes $36 million a year. All right.
Can we get him on the main stage? Can we get Attorney Carter on the main stage?
Yeah. Anyway, so am I not here?
No, you're
Yeah, I
here.
just
We
want
see
you on
you.
the- I
Okay.
want you on the
Thank you.
main
All right, fair enough. No, so he makes 36 million a year. That's $450,000. I'm sorry, $750,000. It's some amount of money. I went to public school. I don't know how much it is, but it's a lot of money a game. All right. It's like $300 and some $1,000 a game. Basically, he can afford to do that 6 times every game and still be okay with the $75,000 fine. That's nothing to him. All right. And quite frankly, somebody need to find him and his daddy. All right, his daddy's sitting there cheering that nonsense on. You know what? John Wick can do whatever the hell he want to do, but I do tell you that I'm upset because you see the kids emulate everything they do. All
Right.
So all the kids now, you see 13-year-olds with 400 tattoos. All right. And by the way, let's be clear: if you dark skinned, and it's fine to be dark skinned, but get your tattoo in white. I'm tired of trying to read what's on you. You just look dirty. All right. I can't see what the hell is on you. All right. You got 400 tattoos. So do that right. Get a white tattoo so I can see what's on it. And also just the idea though, that basketball is, you know, has gotten to the point where all the young kids do it. So you see kids now. I see, you know, AAU video on TikTok and you know, a 2 foot tall kid is looking at another kid like, you too small. And now they're doing the whole, you know, the shooting up ice in my veins thing, which looks like a lot like heroin. But anyway, and they also, you know, it's like, you know, the kids are watching this stuff. And so I had no problem with the NBA saying, let's cut this out. At least the gun stuff, by the way, from the Glocktopus himself. He needs to cut that out. All right. And I got about 3 or 4 names that ChatGPT gave me for his crazy ass too. So don't get me started. But the bottom line is simply that, you know, we probably could really cut this out.
All right, Attorney Turner, you've been quiet. Today. Tell me, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm with the other Attorney Carter in that, where do you draw the line, right? Because a lot of these hand gestures, we were talking about a football player doing a hand gesture that got him fined a couple weeks ago. I didn't know what that meant, right? So the other thing is that I'm not sure if all of the gestures are understood by the people they're trying to protect. And I think potentially drawing all this attention to them is making, you know, the kids be like, oh, I didn't know that that's what that meant, but now I'm going to do it.
But what about the gun rights laws in our country, right? Everyone can have a gun. That's in Florida. That's where he did it at. Everyone's walking around with a weapon. Why can't he exercise one? I get that the NBA has an image problem. It also has a we don't play hard problem. But did he commit a crime? Nah, he owns a weapon. He likes guns. As long as he hasn't properly licensed and he's not committing a crime with them, what do you care for if he shows a gun off? I mean, I get that he's the face. You want him to be the face of the league. John Morant's not going to be the face of your league. He's going to be a fantastic player, but he's not going to be the face of your league. He's not going to be LeBron in image.
That's a fair point.
It's not going to happen. He's not going to be Shaq in image. He's not going to be Kobe in image. You want him to be. I mean, he certainly has athletic talent to be that. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
let's be clear. John Morant is a baller. Like generational.
Let him ball.
Let him ball.
All right, let me ask a question. Let's ask the algorithms real quick. Should public figures like John Morant be held to higher behavior standards simply because they influence others, like Attorney Carter said? Drop down in the chat, algorithms and anybody else viewing. Should public figures like John Morant be held to higher behavior standards simply because they influence others, like Attorney Carter says? All right, everybody, drop down in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. Also, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit the share button and invite some people over to watch the show tonight. We got all of our legal beagles here tonight, and I feel like a proud father. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications. And last but not least, drop down in the comment because we love hearing from you. Next up, Soulja Boy told him, but this time he told him from the witness stand. In an emotional courtroom moment, the rapper testified in his ongoing sexual assault trial, categorically denying the allegations and calling them disgusting. It's a bold move. Defendants are never required to testify, and when they do, they open themselves to brutal cross-examination. But here's what makes this case even more complicated: the fame. Does his notoriety give him more of a voice or more bias against him? How do you separate the man from the media storm when headlines have already painted the narrative? All right, we're going to go to you, Attorney Turner. Attorney Turner, tell us what's going on here and why in the world would you ever let your client testify?
It's a judgment call, and they thought it was going to be helpful. This is an interesting set of facts, though. I'm reminded of that T-Pain song, which is "I'm in love with a stripper," but instead for Soulja Boys, I'm in love with a blunt roller. So apparently, the woman who was his assistant that he's accused of sexual assaulting, he held her hostage. He kept her in a room. He punched her in the face, allegedly. There was all this danger and tumultuous relationship. And then at the end, they fell in love, according to her. Yeah, they had this relationship, and he was struggling about what to call her outside of a party. He said he didn't want to call her just blunt roller, so he called her. Stop, Jason! You made me laugh. And he did. So he called her assistant because he was trying to come up with a word that sounded better than blunt roller. But in truth, I guess she could get the good weed, and she knew how to fold it, and so that was her job. And I was thinking that, I've been seeking out the wrong jobs my whole life, because who knew that was like something you could do and get paid for? I didn't know, but yeah, that was her job in his life. And then he got the wrong.
But she fell in love.
She said they fell in love. That when she wasn't around, that he would want her to come back because he missed her on 420, which is like the International Weed Day, and he wanted her to come back. And so it's this very confusing set of facts. But at some point, and maybe like he wasn't using baby oil or lube or something, but at some point it stopped being fun. And that's when she said that it was assault.
Wow. Okay, Attorney Carter, I see you holding it in. What say you, sir?
I was as confused as Shaitan is. I can't get this. When I first heard the story, it sounds horrible. He's been trapping her. He kept her in a room without food and water for 3 days. And she says, and she finally got away. But this was 2 years after these things supposedly happened. At one point, and by the way, it wasn't like she was sequestered from the police, because there's the interview that she's talking about with the blunt roller was, they called him TMZ, or somebody called him out. Paparazzi called him out, and I think in Beverly Hills shopping, and they said, "Who the heck is this? Who's this?" And he said, "That's my assistant." I didn't want to say it's my blunt roller, but she was out and about with him, so it's not like he kept her, in a cage somewhere. And so I'm like, at some point, I'm like, did you want to get away? Did you not want to get away? You kind of did. She says he didn't pay her for the 2 years they were working there, and this will always get me. You cannot pay somebody for 2 weeks. All right, maybe 3 weeks if you can try to trick them for a while. But 2 years, ain't nobody gonna work for you for 2 years and you didn't pay them if you expect to get paid, right? You're gonna pretty much stop that. And so I never can kind of, I'd hate to not believe her, because the only thing Soulja Boy got going against it here is that he kind of did exactly this to his ex-wife. The police came out. He had to pay her $500,000, and there was like, so he has a history of locking people up and put them in a room somewhere. So I don't know, all right, that it didn't happen with her, but she might have liked it a little bit.
Now, Entertainment Esquire, let me ask you this question. Isn't Soulja Boy the artist who Blueface was just arguing with online because Blueface had sex with her before Soulja Boy did? And now she has a baby with Soulja Boy.
Yeah, I think this was one of the last artists he was online arguing with. I don't know. I mean, I knew some of the details. Thank you for Shatan for bringing us up to date with all the details with this particular case. Definitely, I'm not a criminal defense attorney, but I know so many. They never put their clients on the stand. They never do, because it can always go left. Like you said, you open yourself up to so much once you take the stands. So anyway, I mean, he's done it at this point. I think somebody put in the comments, the first rapper to take the stand in his own defense, because he's always claiming he's the first of this and the first of that. So he's the first rapper to actually testify, to his defense. But yeah, he's had a I think he was with Teddy Riley's daughter for a really long time. There were some accusations there, but I don't think he was ever like criminally punished. I don't think she filed an actual suit. I think he probably just kind of paid for it to go away. He definitely has a history of, some sort of, tumultuousness with the ladies, right, that he's dating. But I do find it interesting. And I know we just talk about Diddy to death on this show, but one of the arguments I don't want to say arguments, and this is obviously not to victim shame, but when you think about Cassie, right? There was a period of time where it was consensual. There were some things that she was doing consensually, but then at some point it turned non-consensual. And this is why he's where he is. Diddy is where he is. But what's going to be interesting in this Diddy case, where are they going to draw the line of when it was consensual versus non-consensual? And then the same thing, the Soulja Boy case, you sat up in a house for 2 years and didn't get paid. It sounds like you were getting free rent and free shelter and some other. If you stayed in a house for 2 years and you didn't get paid, I mean, you were getting something out of it. Rent, free drugs.
The value.
Blunt rollers get paid.
You were getting something in exchange. There's no way you sat there for 2 years and got
blunt rollers get paid $40,000 to $50,000 a year. That's what Snoop pays his blunt roller.
Well, if she didn't get paid, if she didn't get paid for 2 years,
that's $100,000.
That's almost $100,000 worth of services. She was getting something in exchange, and then you throw in the fact, okay, she's not just a blunt roller; she thinks she's in this relationship with him, right? So, like you said, it's layered. I definitely think the fact that she sat up there for 2 years, I don't know. I just feel like the same issues are going to come up in the Diddy case with Cassie being a victim. That at what point did she really turn into a victim?
Right. I want to know. She's claiming sexual assault. So she's basically saying, right, that is she saying that for 2 years, not only was she not getting paid, but she was giving up Tootsie Cat when she didn't want to?
Yeah, so he's probably going to say he paid her an ass, right? And she was like, no. That was not my agreed upon currency. I wanted dollars. And I didn't get the going rate for being a blunt roller. And so I'm rolling blunts. I'm doing sexual favors. I'm doing all kinds of things.
And now you want to get rid of me, and I want my due fair due.
Yes.
Attorney Ross, I want to go back to why in the world would you ever let a fire pistol like Soldier Boy testify?
Well, it's really up to your client, right? In any trial, it is your client's decision whether they want to testify or not, whether it's civil or criminal. We cannot keep them off the stand. If they want to say they want to testify, we can advise them on that. We can train them on that. We can even give them a script they can memorize that we can do direct on them. But if they want to put themselves on the stand, remember, it's not our case, it's theirs. So that there's probably a little bit of Soldier Boy saying, because if I'm his lawyer, I'm going to advise him not to get on the stand.
And why?
First of all, you look terrible. I don't care what you say. You can get cleaned up, but it matters. I'm not going to be, you can't, y'all laughing. Go, y'all know I'm telling the truth. Stop fronting. But we both know we cannot guarantee that I'm going to get 6 or 12 or whatever the number is of your fans who understand your costume in that room. I might get somebody's abuela. I might get somebody's grandmama who just came from church who wants to see you meet the Lord, and I don't care. I don't know what I'm going to get. So, first of all, you look terrible. Second of all, you're lying. They caught you in a lie. You said, I didn't want to call her my blunt roller, which, Jason, thank you for sharing the blunt rollers. Make $40,000. That's impossible. How do you even measure that? But I called her my assistant. He recanted his story on the stand. So when you start adding up these, I don't knows and I forgets, combined with your look,
your credibility falls.
Yeah, credibility falls. It's her burden to carry. Let's cross-examine her and let's just see where it goes. Putting you on this, you want to tell your story? No one wants to hear from you here. We'll let you go do a concert downtown after the show is over. Right now,
or you'll write a book if I get you off. Right? I mean,
write a nice memoir.
Shut your mouth and smile and look pretty.
Get rid of the golds. Pull your hair back.
Toria Williams, thank you so much for the super chat. Toria Williams, thank you so much for the super chat. Bailiff, can we get that across the banner on Toria Williams, please? All right, Toria says, get those likes up. Please get those likes up. So let me ask you this really quickly. By no circumstances would we ever expect to see Diddy testifying, correct?
No. I think he wants to probably, but
no. I mean, I wouldn't put Diddy on the stand. And Diddy's articulate. I mean, Diddy, like let's cut out. Diddy and Soldier Boy are not in the same category. Diddy's a real. He was a corporate guy coming out of Howard. He can turn. He's been in huge boardrooms. Diddy can, like Jay-Z, they can beat in more than one role. But I don't think Diddy's going to testify. He's going to let his lawyers do it. Plus, Diddy's trial is not going to trial in May anyways. They filed a superseding indictment. It's going to be pushed back.
Oh, so we're not partying in Miami anymore, leading up to it.
No, we are, but we're trying to figure out how to keep this date. We're monitoring the date because Brian is convinced it's not going to be May 5th.
I'm convinced it's not going to be May 5th.
The Alligators on Ocean Drive too, and we'll just party. But
so when are they going to announce the new date, Brian?
What's going to they filed and Jason, back me up. They filed a superseding indictment. I know you talked about that last show, but that adds new evidence. So if I'm Diddy's lawyer, I'm going to talk to my client and say, look, they just added two new witnesses here. They added a bunch of stuff about them. We need to slow down. We get one crack at this. We need to slow down and we need to go through all of that. Simultaneously, that's going to give my team a little bit more time to go back up and down to look for things we missed. You need to let me continue it. How long? I need at least 90 days. 90 days.
Well, here's the thing is, you're right, but that would be the case if your client was at home. Diddy's gonna want to get out of there as soon as possible, so he's gonna be trying to push him to get that thing done as soon as possible because he want to get out. I can't blame him. I'd be on there today.
If I was Diddy, I would sit the F still and let my lawyers do their job because he's facing either get home or stay there for a very long
very
time.
long
I
time.
think
He's got a velvet. He's got a
He's
velvet
staying.
rug in that jail cell. Trust me.
I think his arrogance is probably the hardest thing for his lawyers to manage, because I think one, he's like, somebody else we know who
You talking about me?
I know about your litigation.
Because you'll drop a dime on me.
I'm
Even though I know you love me, you'll drop a dime. If you talk about, just say it to my face. You ain't got to talk behind it. You know what I'm saying?
I was talking about your friend in high places, but yeah, like his ego is such that he's going to want to direct his defense. And I don't know that he will be able to live with himself if he doesn't testify and he gets convicted. And so that's the piece that I think is it may tip the scales, because Diddy thinks that he's always bet on himself and won.
That's
Until
true.
now. And so I think he's going to say, if we're going to get this done, you need me to carry it. So I think
I could see that argument, but I don't think if I was his lawyer, I would fall.
I don't think his lawyer recommended, but like Attorney Ross says, it's ultimately the client's call. So I think that they're probably going to keep talking about this and keep talking about this. And I think it could go either way.
And they're going to paper it so that when he goes on, and when they go on May 5th and they lose, the lawyers are going to be like, we told you not to.
Make him sign it. You're gonna prepare him for trial, right? He's sitting there. You're gonna have one of your associates go there periodically and cross-examine him, direct him. He needs that, right? You don't always decide at trial like weeks before whether you're gonna call your own witness to the stand. Sometimes you decide in the middle of trial because you see something is missing and you lean into listen. How do you feel about testifying? Are you now? The one thing about Diddy is he's a big time performer. So being in a room full of people putting on a facade, it's gonna be very, very easy for him. For a lot of people getting on that stand, it's scary, man, and it's not something they're used to. So we'll have to see.
You know what I find so interesting?
That we won't stop. Thought I told you that we won't stop.
The two ladies who just watched that girl get her behind beat are sitting here.
They're on fire. They're on fire.
No, I said that's what Diddy's gonna say. That's what
he gonna get up the stand and do the Diddy bop.
Listen.
Toria Williams got it. $5 million is a get out of jail free card with Donald Trump. There you go. You get a gold card.
I feel like he's gonna get a pardon for Trump, even if he gets guilty. I'll be honest with you. That would be borderline disgusting. That would be borderline disgusting.
What I had a question, I forgot what it was. Dang on it. Okay, so we said Diddy should possibly not.
Right.
Oh, we were talking about his charisma. If he did testify, I think if I was the prosecutor, I would just show that Cassie video over and over every chance I can in my presentation. I would just show everything that I talk about. Every time I bring up something new, I would incorporate the video over and over and over and over. All I would want are those jurors to see that behavior against that woman, and they would convict him of everything.
Yeah, the problem.
Unless there's a technicality of some sorts.
Yeah.
Unless there's a technicality. All right, let's keep it going. Speaking of a technicality, the Making the Band brand is making headlines also, but this time for all the wrong reasons. Brian Andrews of Day 26 fame has been arrested for felony robbery in Harris County, Texas. Meanwhile, Dylan Dillinger, best remembered for that unforgettable Dylan moment, has been charged with misdemeanor assault after allegedly slapping a man in North Carolina. What is going on with Diddy's band members? These aren't high-dollar Hollywood cases, but they do highlight a troubling trend. Reality stars making real-life legal missteps. Is it the fame, or is it the pressure, or is it just the lack of real-world support once the cameras start rolling? All right, let's go to you, Attorney Sean Carter. We haven't heard from you. Tell us what's going on here, and what are your thoughts around these idiots who clearly aren't making any money anymore as it relates to this case?
I mean, that's really what it is, though. I mean, so these are just regular guys out there now, and I can't imagine anything worse than I used to be something and now I ain't shit. See, I never been nothing. So that's easy. All right. But used to be ain't shit. You can't be used to be ain't shit. All right. That's when it gets real bad. All right. That's why you be mad and you run around. Now, Dion was a fool before. Remember, he was trying to choke out Wyclef. All right. So he was a fool from the beginning. I was kind of surprised about Brian Adams because, by the way, Day 26 is my group. All right, Want You exclusive. I love that group. All right, I'm mad they made an album in 17 years. All right, I'm mad. All right, I got it on my iPad now. I'm listening to them on my phone all night.
I'm looking for some goosebumps. I'm not feeling none of that.
Yeah,
let's do it again. If we just be ourselves, that'd be exactly what he was looking for.
Really love your company.
Damn it, come on, get going. Time to leave.
Another opportunity for me to say everything.
I'm dead. And Sean Carter knows the words.
Dylan.
I'm dead like that.
Anyway, go ahead.
I love that group. But the point is, though, is that it is interesting, though, that Diddy's whole, what would be the word for it, galaxy, his whole solar system. Think about it. The whole show we're doing today is just people who are Diddy and Diddy adjacent acting a fool. I'm pretty sure we're gonna find out. We get to John. What was his name? John Carl Van Dam. He was at the mansion too.
Say that again.
I'm sure we're gonna find out. We get to John Claude Van Damme. He was at the mansion too. Everybody who seemed to do everything is somehow involved with Diddy. These guys. I feel bad for them because, like I said, it's got to be rough. For people to go, think about it. People, you go in the store and people are like, do I kind of know you? I know you ain't shit now, but when you used to be somebody.
About me.
Well, before we go down the wrong route, can we please go back to teaching the algorithm? Tell me, what's the difference between being charged with a felony versus a misdemeanor?
The amount of jail time that you're possibly getting. That's literally what it all boils down to.
Does one thing have to be one has to be more than the other? Like, for instance, because one is being charged with felony robbery and the other one's being charged with misdemeanor assault. Is one because he had a gun and one is because he used his hands?
I mean, look, they're going to charge him differently, but the felony one, you're going to jail for at least a year. A misdemeanor, you could do less than a year. That's basically what it is. So if you hear the word felony, you want to hear misdemeanor. Well, you want to hear nothing, but you want to hear misdemeanor if you got to hear something.
It depends on how bad a person's bad. I had a case one time where a guy punched another guy and he damaged his eye socket real bad. The eye socket kind of collapsed in a weird way. The damage, I know, right? The damage to the eye constituted a felony. Now, had he just punched him and he fell over and he didn't have any damage, straight punch, it would have been a misdemeanor. So it depends on the value of the damage. And that's sometimes medical report based, right? So they have to have an expert a lot of times to get the felony battery.
All right, speaking of damages, these likes aren't liking and I feel damaged. Please hit the like.
You need to start singing.
Please hit the like button. Also, please hit the subscribe button if you already subscribed. Hit the share button. Invite some friends over to watch the show. Also, don't forget to drop down in the comments as well as turn on your notifications. Next up, boy, we have so many cases. Young Thug may still be on probation, but for now, he's still on Instagram. But he's also still on Instagram. A recent social media post sparked concerns from the court, suggesting he may have violated the terms of his probation. But after hearing the judge decided the post did not warrant revocation. This case raises some major questions. What role should social media play in our legal system? Are vague captions and emojis enough to send someone back behind bars? Or are we venturing into dangerous territory when judges start interpreting our timelines like legal documents? Let's take a look at what he posted. Biggest liar in the DA office. Okay. And then
him walking it back on the right-hand side.
Oh.
When they filed the motion to revoke his probation, he's like, oh no, I don't mean people. I'm a good person. That's him walking it back on the right-hand side.
That's him getting a call from his lawyer saying, what the hell are you thinking?
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Take that.
You better take that down.
Right. Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay, what are our thoughts on this, Attorney Carter?
Well, I think here again, this case is actually very similar to what we've already discussed with John Morant, right? With freedom of expression, right? He's doing the freedom of expression with hands. In this case, Young Thug is saying, well, I have the freedom of expression to post what I want on social media. And I actually think this person is a liar. So I have the right to say that I think she's a liar. I'm not threatening her. This isn't gang violence. I'm just saying, based on my experience in this office, this woman is a liar. I have the right to tweet that out. And again, in any other context, I would be there with him. But your constraints on your speech, just like John Morant with the hand motions, with the NBA, the prosecutor's office, the state of Georgia is his NBA. Okay. You have signed a contract essentially with the state of Georgia to say for the next 15 years, which I'm sure Brian will say that is unheard of to have
outrageous
15 years. I've never actually.
So we're saying that he's on probation for 15 years, Attorney Carter.
So because what they did was they tried to help him out. They gave him some time served, and then they said, as long as you don't get in trouble, you can just basically spend it out of jail. But the minute you violate any of these terms, right, we're going to make you serve the rest of it in jail. Now, some people say, well, what is him saying? This investigator, the picture of the investigator, is the biggest liar. How could this be a probation violation? The argument,
yes, that's what I want to know.
The argument was by him saying she was the biggest liar, that it created threats against her and new threats against Fannie, because she works in Fannie's office, Fannie Willis's office. So they got threats to their life, violence towards them. So they're saying, and again, this is a stretch, oh, this is basically like gang related. This is violence related. And you signed on the dotted line on your probation agreement that you're not going to be involved with anything that comes close to violence. So by you tweeting this, you knew that you were going to incite people to essentially
attack her,
to attack us. But the judge didn't buy it. Number one, for two reasons. Number one, this little white judge, Paige Whitaker, she loved herself some Young Thug.
Why?
She loves him. If
her son listens to his music.
If you listen to Paige's the hearing where he was free that day, where she gave him his sentencing, she applauded him in the community. She was like, you go out there and you do a good job. I mean, she was like the nicest judge to him. So for whatever reason, she may have a little crush on something on him. She really, really, really likes him. And because I knew she really, really liked him, I didn't think she was going to let this be a probation violation, obviously. But even if she didn't like him, I think it's a stretch. And I'm sure Brian or some of the other criminal law attorneys would argue like, hey, okay, he did post it, but there was no direct threat of violence. And my client can't control what other people want to do once they see my social media points.
I'm going to push back on that, because I'm going to say he knew by posting it the reaction that his fans would have and would definitely go after him. That's why he posted it.
But he didn't know that they were going to threaten the lady.
Get out of here. That's just like saying Nicki Minaj's fans, if Nicki says go after somebody or somebody did something to her, that what are they called? The beehives? What? No,
I think Nicki has the barbs.
The barbs. The barbs are going to that person's house and going to threaten them ASAP. So I think those celebrities know the power of their social media. Attorney Ross, what say you?
I mean, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, Young Thug, you're not an idiot, man. Let me tell you something, and Jason's going to back me up. There are times where all of us, especially me, I do it a lot, will grab your client by the throat and say, I'm going to literally choke you. Like, it's not my job to be your daddy. You pay me a lot of money, but I'm telling you, you're screwing up, dude. Take it down. Like, legit. And I guarantee you, his lawyer, please tell me you said that to him. You have 15 years of this. You have 14 more to go. 15 years For 15 years, you can't get a speeding ticket. For 15 years, you can't get a DUI. For 15 years, no woman can allege that you assaulted her. For 15 years, you can't get evicted. For 15 years, you got to be a quiet little choir boy. This is a bad start, bro. I know it's not a violation of your contract, all right? But it's a bad start, okay?
But
Forget it all happened.
Speech.
Forget the DA.
Freedom
Forget
of
they live here.
speech, Attorney Ross.
Huh?
I have freedom of speech. That's what he would say.
You don't have freedom of speech. You know, you lost your freedom because you're on probation for 15 years. If you were
Right.
free, you wouldn't be on probation for 15 years. I'm
Right.
free. You're not. You can't do this type of stuff.
Yeah. Period.
I'd be very angry, man. You know,
Wow.
you can do
Yeah,
anything.
he's-
You go
he's
volunteer at the
pushing it.
boys' club. Help me mitigate your sentence. Go work at the boys' club. Teach little kids how to play basketball. Go read to old people. If you're 15, we can knock this thing down to 10 or 9. Is what you want to
Not
do?
go read to old people.
Freaking
Well, you want him to
weirdo,
work at a
man.
you want him to work at a crosswalk at the nurse's home?
I will
Help
take
old
it.
people across the street.
I will take it. You better wipe that old man's booty. Do something. We're getting you off probation. This ain't helping.
Yeah,
Well-
he's pushing it. He's just got to know that, yeah, in theory, you should be able to state your personal opinion. Absolutely. But when you're on this probation, anything that could be viewed as violence,
Or
inciting violence, anything gang related, even him visiting Atlanta, he can only visit Atlanta for like funerals, graduations. They have certain rules about when he can even go into the city of Atlanta. I mean, this is a long time he
I
has
think
to
I
do.
would get off of social
This
media.
is why he should have just went to
I would get
trial.
off of social media altogether.
I gotta be me. I gotta be me.
Here
That's
we
Yeah,
go.
well,
Here we
people
go.
be
You know.
behind bars. That's why he should have let Brian,
Right, you gonna be
the other
you behind-
Brian, he should have let the
I
other
know.
Brian take it all the way. They would have won. I guarantee you they would have won. They
All
would've.
right, speaking of gotta be me, finally we arrive at one of the most disturbing allegations of the night. Jean-Claude Van Damme, action star and martial arts legend, is now facing accusations of engaging in sex with victims of human trafficking. The claims come via a civil lawsuit filed in New York. That's right, civil, no criminal charges yet, but the implications are explosive and the details are chilling. The legal framework is also extremely complex because civil suits don't require the same burden of proof as criminal trials, but the damage, both financial and reputational, can be just as severe. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Sean Carter. Explain to us what makes this case so shocking and what do they mean when they say sexual assault by human trafficking?
All right. So let's be clear. What happened here in this case is that this is allegations that Jean-Claude Van Damme is doing whatever he do, karate or whatever, at cons. The Romanian businessman comes up to him and says, "Hey, I got a little present for you." And then here you are, 5 young women. Now, the fact that Jean-Claude Van Damme can think about disappointing 5 women at one time, I'm impressed. All right, I'm 57. I'm younger than him, and I'm having trouble disappointing 1 woman. All right, so I'm gonna give him credit on that. All right, he said I can handle this. And then here's the thing: is they say, "Hey, you knew that guy had bought these women; these were sex slaves, and you went ahead and and used them up." And he says, "Hey, I didn't know," but they said, "No, everybody know. Look at him. Look at I can tell, and I've seen his picture. He trafficked them. Ain't no way they were with him on purpose." Now here's the thing: this happened in France. The Romanian authorities filed charges and said, "Hey, these are our girls, and you need to come here to answer our charges." Jean-Claude was like, "Mind your business." All right, this happened in France. And so now he's actually got to get France to agree to send him back to Romania, a place he hadn't even been, by the way. This would be like if you had done something bad to someone who was from, say, Japan here, and the Japanese said, "Hey, we want you there." Like, no, I did the bad stuff here, right? And so it's an interesting thing that, and there's something in the French law that basically will allow them, if they think there's enough evidence, to actually ship them over to Romania to face charges there. The nurse, remember, this is where Andrew Tate got caught too. All right, if you're gonna enjoy your sex slaves, you got to do it outside of Romania. All right, there's lots of places they'll let you do it. Your local strip mall, you can have all the sex slaves you want, rub and tug, $30, $40 at a time, but you cannot go to Romania. It's dangerous there. They don't play that. They don't mind it here so much, but they mind it in Romania.
All right, Attorney Ross.
Strip mall too, though. Remember the general manager, right, of the
Patriots?
Yeah, he got in trouble getting rubbed and tugged and sucked in the strip mall.
And what did he get? He got about $30 fine and a high five from the judge.
Oh, Bob, are you talking about Bob Kraft, the owner?
Yeah, Bob Kraft. But he didn't get no jail time. They didn't send him out to Romania.
What's amazing is that the Patriots at the time. We're changing subject. We're playing in the AFC Championship. They won the game. He's in Boston, and within less than 2 hours, he's in Boynton Beach, Florida. I mean, he has a real fast jet.
He was celebrating. I mean, you know.
Well, let me ask you this, Attorney Ross. How can someone be held financially liable for the act that they've never been criminally charged for?
A lot of reasons. One, you get sued civilly and then you don't show up, right? So me and Shaitan go off to China and Shaitan steal some Gucci sunglasses and they sue us for these stolen glasses. And I tell Shaitan, hey, look at this. See this? See the arrogance? I tell Shaitan, you got to go back to Beijing and report. I ain't going back. So she gets defaulted and they send her a bill for $2 because they was fake Gucci sunglasses anyway. So if you don't show up back, so all the algoritmers, on a serious note, if you are in Miami at Ultra and you get it in and wreck your rental car and then go back to California and they sue you here in Florida, you have to pay for that. You're not gonna get away. That's one thing. Mm-hmm. Romania is crazy. Romania is a crazy place, man. Sean Carter's right. Stay out of there.
Remember, there was that one movie he did years ago, and he was a chef, and then he popped up and did the split on the counters. Like, he's probably saying he didn't have to assault anybody; that his talents opened doors for him. And they were ready, willing, and able.
All right, algoritmers. All right, algoritmers. This is the part of the show where we go to you, as well as the lawyers, to find out who's guilty or not guilty in the court, celebrity court of public opinion. First up, Russell Brand. Is he guilty or not guilty of sexually assaulting those people? Attorney Ross, what say you?
Not guilty. Innocent until proven guilty.
Attorney Carter?
He's guilty of being a fool. He was married to Katy Perry at the same time. All right. So how you going to assault women for free when you got a rich woman at home? You can assault for free.
Who's not bad looking. Who's not bad looking, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Guilty. What's wrong with you?
Attorney Turner? You're on mute.
So I do tend to believe that Russell Brand is guilty in
of course,
public opinion. However, he's probably most guilty for bringing Jesus into it because, you know, Jesus wasn't there when he was allegedly doing these things. So keep Jesus out of it while you defend yourself.
The thief on the cross.
Attorney Ashley?
You know, I typically try to say innocent until proven guilty, but I don't even think they have that in the UK. I think where they're so tired. So guilty.
All right, Attorney Weiss.
I'm gonna say, just looking at his eyes. That's all I gotta say. Not guilty. Look at those eyes.
Not guilty. All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge here at Celebrity Court. We're gonna find Russell Brand guilty. Guilty is charged. The reason why, to me, in court of public opinion, is because he was making all the reasons why he should not be found guilty because of all the changes he's made in his life. That's a true sign that you have something in your closet that is very, very skeletal. All right, next up, Jay Morant. Is he guilty or not guilty for using a gun sign when he knows he shouldn't be using any type of signs in the NBA? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
Guilty. It's part of his morals clause, and he's not allowed to do it.
Attorney Ross?
Not guilty. I have a right to free speech. I wasn't trying to shoot anybody. It's just I'm a good shooter. That's what that gun means. I'm a good shooter.
Attorney Carter?
You know what? Attorney Ross just convinced me. All right? Think about it. He's called a shooter. All right? If you're really good, you're a marksman or a sharpshooter. All right? The whole damn thing is about shooting. So you know what? He should better bring a gun to the game and shoot 3-4 people while he at it. All right?
Attorney Carter. Attorney Turner.
You know, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to agree with Attorney Ross. I think that he was just being boisterous and not guilty on the allegation.
Attorney Ashley?
Brian also convinced me. It's not. I would have said guilty because of the morality clause, but Brian makes a good point about him
He's a
being
shooter.
an actual shooter with basketball. So
There we go.
yes, I think there's an argument there. Not guilty.
No, I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Corner. We're gonna find him guilty. Guilty because you young man, let me tell you something. Young man, you're being ridiculous. You're making $35 million. You're under the age of 25. You've already had multiple conversations with the league about your behavior as it relates to guns. You continue to go on social media and do it anyway, and now you brought it to the court. You're freaking guilty. Get it together before your money goes away, because after all this money goes away, sir, it's going to be just you and your inability or your abilities to do what, because you can't play on the courts anymore. Next up, Soldier Boy. Is he guilty or not guilty? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
He is guilty for getting on the stand, and that means his lawyer's guilty for letting him get on the stand. So guilty.
Guilty. All right, Attorney Brawls.
He absolutely did it. 100%. I have no hesitation. None.
Attorney Carter.
We are all guilty because he's still rich. That man's song was in 2006. It wasn't even that good of a song. And somehow he still got money to be able to abduct people in 2025. That makes us all guilty. We're guilty. Guilty, Your Honor.
Attorney Turner.
He's guilty of drinking from the fountain of youth too. I didn't realize he was only 34 years old.
Really?
You know, we were all doing this.
Attorney Ashley.
Yeah, I like his music.
His
Yeah,
song.
he is guilty because of, I know you're not supposed to say pattern of behavior dictates you doing something in a separate incident, but I think, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's too much of a pattern here. I think he's guilty.
All right, I'm Al. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. We're going to find Soldier Boy guilty. Guilty is charged. Next up, making up the band. The two gentlemen, are they guilty or not guilty of not being able to revive their careers? Attorney Weiss, what say you?
I think they're guilty of just being a mess and not having oil at a Diddy party.
Attorney Ross.
Definitely guilty. Another one's.
Attorney Turner.
They're guilty of being irrelevant. Like they are not like Soldier Boy.
Dang.
Attorney Carter. Attorney Sean Carter.
Dylon is guilty. He was guilty then, but my brother Brian, I'm gonna still give him the benefit of the doubt.
Attorney Ashley.
Dylon. Guilty.
I'm Al, and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. We're going to find them both guilty. Guilty for still trying, but not trying hard enough. Okay, Young Thug, is he guilty or not guilty of knowing what he did when he posted that Instagram post? Attorney Carter.
He's guilty of being 33 years old and still calling himself Young Thug. Get a grown man's name, all right?
Attorney Ashley.
I hate that. Okay, he is. You know what? No, I'm gonna go with his favorite judge. I feel like he is not guilty. It was a
Attorney Turner.
violence.
I think he's guilty of being perpetually stupid. Like whether he broke the law or not, like that remains to be seen. But I'm tired of him. I'm tired of his excuses. I'm tired of him saying he didn't know. And yeah, he meant to get his folks riled up and to go after that lady. He did.
Absolutely. Attorney Weiss.
Guilty.
Attorney Ross.
Guilty, and I give it another 6 months. He'll be back on your show for violation of probation.
Yep.
I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court. We're going to find Young Thug guilty. Guilty of trying to be clever, but not clever enough, buddy. You're in the system for 15 years. Of course, everything you do is going to be interpreted to the negative and not the positive. Last up, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Attorney Weiss, is he guilty or not guilty?
He's guilty of still being able to do that split at his age. So whatever he did, he could still do that split. That's all I got to say.
Attorney Weiss.
That was Weiss.
Attorney Ross.
He's guilty of messing around with Romania. Stay out of that country. Stay away from those people. Chill out.
Attorney Sean Carter.
Yeah, he's guilty. And this is a good lesson for the algorithms, any grown man. All right. 5 beautiful young women come to you and want to go to bed with you. 4.5 of them lying. All right. You need to run.
Attorney Turner.
I guess Attorney Carter said he's guilty of believing he still got it. Yeah. That's funny.
Attorney Ashley.
I echo Attorney Ross. Guilty. Stay out of Romania.
All right, I'm the judge here. We're gonna find him, Attorney Jean-Claude. We're gonna find Jean-Claude guilty of doing too much something with 5 people at what 70. You know there's about to be a charge for something.
Tip your hat.
Even if it's trying too hard.
Think about it. None of them saw his movie. That movie was 40 years ago, right? They weren't even born yet. Ain't nobody know who he is. If 5 of those women want you, it's because somebody they got a gun to their head.
There's a setup. If you're 70 years old, you got 5 20-year-old women in your bedroom. Something is a setup. All right, everybody. We saw fame stretch, reputations tested, and the law placed under a microscope. But we also saw something more disturbing, which are what we call recurring patterns. Too often, power acts as both a sword as well as a shield. It's used to commit harm and then to dodge accountability for it. In each of tonight's cases, we're left to wonder, if these weren't famous people, would the justice system move faster, harsher, or maybe not at all? In the court of public opinion, we don't need a robe or a barcode to care, because every one of us watching, commenting, and reposting, we are part of the verdict. So the final question is yours. How do we hold power accountable when it's packaged as entertainment? I'm Al Reynolds, and this is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, where fame is never a free pass, but it's always Exhibit A. Thank you for joining me tonight, and everybody have a good night. Court is now adjourned.